Hi and welcome to the Blue Belt Linework section. So we'll just go through the 5 pieces of line work we expect from you as a Blue Belt, and then the kick-in, which is a spinning hook kick as well. Now when you get to Blue Belt, you're considered quite high grade because you've got past all the beginner grades now, you're in the middle. So now we start to take your stances very seriously. When we're marking you, we chop you in half and start looking at your lower body, and we start focusing more on your lower body than your upper body to make sure that your stances are very good, which is why most of the line work for the blue belt level involves switching from one stance to another. Okay, and then when you do your patterns are full of that as well, from switching from one stance to another. So now you've gone up another level, okay, it jumps up in standard and it jumps up in quality of what we're looking for. So you've got to try and start making everything exact now, okay? So your first piece of line work is a reverse knife hand. So basically in L stance, it's the same as a middle block from underneath position, but your hand is open, okay? And it's in this position, so your thumb is across. Okay, so this is a knife hand, you'd be using this section. So if your hand's like that, you're using your knife hand. If you've got your thumb across, you're blocking with this section here, okay, which is your reverse knife hand, son cordon. So we're looking to block with this knuckle with a reverse knife hand. Okay, so from L stance position, from underneath like a middle block, it's a reverse knife hand, kind of level with your shoulder. Okay, so as you walk forwards, pull your hand back just like a middle block in L stance from underneath, reverse knife hand with your thumb across. So you're blocking with this section, your reverse knife hand. Okay, so coming forwards, ready? So it's quite easy. So moving backwards, same again from underneath, reverse knife hand. Okay, so I'm blocking with this tool here. Ready? So moving backwards again, and moving backwards again. Okay, so we'll do that again 3 more times forwards, 3 more times backwards. It's fairly simple. Level with your shoulder, okay, and thumb across the center. Forwards. Ready? 2. Set. Ready? So we're checking your stances are better now. Checking that you know what tool you're actually blocking with, and you're half side facing. So moving backwards 3 more times. 2. Set. Right. So now you might have heard this before in class. We say the first 2 moves of the pattern Chungun, which is the name of your new pattern. And the first 2 moves is the reverse knife hand followed by a low section snapping kick. Okay, so from underneath, show them that reverse knife hand again, low section snapping kick. Now, if you're in a good L stance from here, okay, if 70% of the weight's on your back leg, you shouldn't have to move much to kick. Obviously, there has to be a slight movement because 70% of the weight's on your back leg, not all of it. So I want a slight movement, low section, and then back. So the other way around. If you're in L stance with 70% on your leg, it's a slight movement, low section. Okay, we don't want this where your weight's like 50-50, so you have to pull a long way back to change the weight. Okay, so make sure your weight distribution is correct. So from underneath, reverse knife hand, and then snap kick, low section. Forwards, reverse, knife hand, snap kick, low section. Reverse knife hand in L stance and snap kick, low section. Okay, so same moving backwards. So midsection, low section. Moving backwards, midsection, low section. Okay, so barrow, back to ready stance. Okay, so that's quite simple to begin with. It's just in L stance, so middle section and then low section. Okay, so your next piece of line work for blue belt level is a knife hand guarding block and then an upward elbow strike. What we're looking for here is the switch in a stance from an L stance to a walking stance. So you all know how to make a knife hand guard. So if you put your right leg back and show me a knife hand guarding block from the corner, then you've got to slip out into walking stance and point where you're going and put your hand on your belt. Okay, now I'm not fully into a walking stance yet, but when I perform the upward elbow strike, that's when I'll twist fully into it. Alright, so from the knife hand position, I point where I'm going to put my hand on my belt, slip out, and then strike into the stance. Okay, and this is a wee palk up to riggy, so upward elbow strike. So from your knife hand guarding block, slip out, point where you're going, put your hand on your belt, and strike up. So coming forwards, knife hand guard, as you did when you were a yellow belt. Point where you're going, put your hand on your belt, slip out into a walking stance, and show me an upward elbow strike. So coming forwards, L stance, knife hand guard. point where you're going, put your hand on your belt, slip out into a walking stance and an upward elbow strike. Now this upward elbow strike has to pass the level of your chin, otherwise you're not showing a technique that works. Okay, so moving backwards, knife hand guard, point where you're going, hand on your belt and slip out, and show me an upward elbow strike. So moving backwards, knife hand guard, point where you're going, touch your belt, slip out and strike. Moving backwards, knife hand guard, slip out, upward elbow strike. Okay, so remember, your stances are the same length, they're just measured from different places. Okay, so walking stance is toe to toe and L stance is heel to toe. So basically, from your L stance, we're looking at you to step out, because there's no gap between your feet, 1 foot further forwards and then shoulder width apart when you step out. Okay, so we're looking to see you've got good knowledge of your stances. So from L stance, knife and guard, we'll do that again. Slip out and strike up. Keeping shoulder width apart, 1.5 shoulder widths long. So L stance, slip 1 foot forwards and out to the side, point where you're going, and upward elbow strike. So coming forwards, knife and guard, point where you're going, hand on your belt, slip 1 foot forwards and out 1 shoulder width, and strike up. So moving backwards, show me that again. Slip out, upward elbow, past your chin. Slip out, upward elbow. Backwards go, slip out, upward elbow. Okay, so we'll do that 3 more times, forwards and backwards. So forwards, hammer, 2, set, and moving backwards. And barrel. Okay, so that's your second piece of line work for the blue belt level. So your third piece of line work is a back fist release and punch. Now, this has been done, I've been doing Taekwondo for a long time, and I've seen this performed in 3 different ways. So we'll do the one that's my latest understanding, but it might change. Okay, so from an L stance, you've done a back fist before, so from underneath, show me a back fist to the temple. Okay, just the same as you did in Dosan, but in Dosan you did it in a walking stance. So this is in an L stance, and from underneath, back fist to the temple. And again, your arm from here, your arm should be slightly bent. So not locked out straight and not bent. Your arm should be in a relaxed position. It's tense at the end, but if you're straight, that's hyperextended. So if you just relax a little bit, it looks like it's bent. So that's the position you should be in. Okay, so from L stance, from underneath, show me a back fist. And I want you to pretend that someone's grabbed your arm. Okay, so they grabbed your arm, I'm going to try and get out of it. I'm going to show you what you do with this hand first, and then we'll show you what you do with this hand. Okay, so you're going to turn your hand in a bit, because when someone's got hold of you here, you want to turn against the thumb a little bit. So you turn against the thumb a little bit, and then step over the top as you step out into a walking stance. So you turn it in a bit, then over the top of the hand and down to power out against the thumb, down towards your knee. Okay? So from here again, from your back fist, pretend someone's grabbed your wrist, twist against the thumb, go over the thumb and then power down as you step out. Now if someone's bigger than you and stronger than you, you're not going to have the power to break out of it just with your hand. So that's why you're using the power of your legs, okay? So you turn your hand in a little bit, over, and you use the power of the stepping out to release, okay? So this is what you do with the other hand, because as you know now at blue belt level, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, okay? So if this hand's doing something, this one should be doing something. So from here, show me a back fist. Now as this hand turns in a little bit, so does this one. Only a little move, this hand turns in as well. So both hands turn in a little bit, and as that goes out, this one twists to your belt. So every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so watch again. So from the back fist, both hands turn in a little bit, and then as you step out, this one hits your belt, this one goes down towards your knee. Okay, then I want you to twist into a walking stance and punch high section level with your eyes. Okay, so that's your next piece of line work. So from L stance position, from underneath, show me a back fist. Both hands twist in a little bit and out down towards your knee, which puts you nearly into a walking stance, but you want to punch to the head now, high section. okay, and that finishes the stance. Okay, so we'll do that 3 times forwards, 3 times back, and then we'll do it again just to make sure you've got it. Okay, so from L stance, from underneath, back fist, turn both hands in a little bit, step out and release, punch high section. From underneath, back fist, both hands in a little bit, out and release, and punch high section. From underneath, back fist, turn both hands in a little bit, release, and punch high section. Moving backwards, same moves. Back fist, turn both hands in, out and down as you release, and punch high. Backwards go, from underneath, back fist, turn both hands in, over the top and down, and finish the stance as you punch high. One more. Turn both hands in, step out and release, punch high. Okay, so we'll do that 3 more times forwards and backwards and then move on. So forwards, back fist. 2. Set. And moving backwards, same moves. And barrow. Okay, so that's your 3rd piece of line work. Okay, so your 4th piece of line work for blue belt level is dumaki again, like you just did as a blue stripe, but then you're going to add a side punch to it as well. So basically, from a walking stance, it's a dumaki, just the same as you learnt as a blue stripe, and then you're going to pull back and drop into an L stance. So again, you'll see the common theme with all the line work, that you're changing from one stance to another, either from walking stance to L stance or L stance to walking stance, okay? So let's show you this again. So from walking stance, palms down as you did as a blue stripe, high section dumaki. When you pull halfway back, only halfway, put your back hand up. So put your back hand up and then drop into an L stance, okay, with a side punch. So it's a side punch, so you're side facing, but you're still looking at where the punch goes. All right, so I'll show you that again. So in walking stance, from the corner, bring it round dumaki, little finger, one little finger away from the point of my elbow, and high section. Pull back, and as you pull back, put your backhand out, and then drop into L stance with a side punch. So coming forwards, from the corner, dumaki, in walking stance, pull back, backhand up, front hand on your belt, and drop into L stance. So coming forwards, dumaki, pull back, drop your front hand to your belt and put your back hand up and only pull halfway back and then slide out to an L stance, okay? So I'm moving backwards, same moves from the corner, high section dumaki, drop your front hand to your belt and raise your back hand and come back halfway and slide into L stance. So moving backwards, dumaki, drop your front hand to your belt, reverse hand up, and drop side punch. Okay, so we'll do that again, 3 times forwards, 3 times backwards. We'll make sure we've got a bit of room. So from the corner, high section dumaki, pull back and drop. Coming forwards, dumaki, pull back, drop your front hand to your belt, raise your back hand, pull halfway back, and drop. From the corner, dumaki, drop your front hand to your belt, raise your back hand, and drop. Moving backwards, 3 more. So dumaki, drop your front hand to your belt, raise your back hand, drop into L stance. Backwards go, from the corner, dumaki, pull back, drop. Backwards go, dumaki, pull back, and drop. Okay, and barrow. Okay, so that's a little bit easier than the previous 2. So you'll pick that up pretty quick. So your 5th piece of line work for a blue belt is a guarding block in L stance, which you've done before. You did it as a yellow belt, and then you're going to slip out into a double palm pressing block. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So from the corner, guarding block, you pull back and drop your front hand very low, and this hand is very high, higher than your head, but both in front of you at arm's length, and then you glide out forwards into a low stance. Your hands cross in the middle. This one is in line with your center and turns out, and this one is in line with your shoulder line. So this is your shoulder line here. So remember, you've got 3 lines: center line, chest line, shoulder line. Okay, so that's shoulder line, and this one is center line. And you're in a low stance, which is 1 foot longer than a walking stance. Okay, so from the corner, guarding block, pull back halfway, drop your front hand straight down, and your back hand higher than your head. Put it arm's length, don't do this. And then as you glide out, 1, 2, 3, 4, your hands twist. It's a lot easier to do when you've got bare feet and you can slide. Sometimes, if you can't slide your foot, if you can't slide straight, the technique should be performed in a straight line, like that. But if you're stuck, then you can kind of creep your toe out a bit, like that. So that's acceptable, but on most floors you can go in a straight line, okay? So from the corner guarding block, drop your front hand, raise your back hand higher than your head, one directly above the other, and glide out. Cross in the middle, ready, palm out, center line, palm up. So forwards guard, pull back, drop your front hand, back hand up higher than your head, this one very low, and then as you slide out, straight, they cross in the middle, in line with your shoulder, in line with your center. Okay, and they're quite close together in the end, so they're quite close. So start a long way apart, and they finish quite close together. Okay, so we'll show you that again. So from the corner, show me a guarding block. Pull back, drop your front hand down, back hand up, palm down. Glide out into a low stance as your hands cross, and they finish quite close together. Shoulder line, midline, close together. Forwards and guard, L stance. Drop your front hand, raise this one quite high, and then glide forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count of 3 or 4 is fine. So coming forwards and guard, drop your front hand, back hand high, and glide out. Ready? And backwards. Drop your front hand, back hand up in front of you, and glide out. Glide out. Ready? So I'll show you that again 3 more times. So coming forwards and guard. Drop, hands up, and glide. And guard. And drop, and glide. And forwards, go. And guard. Drop your front hand, back hand up, and glide. And 3 backwards. Drop your front hand, raise your back hand, and 3-second glide. Or 4 seconds. And guard. Drop your front hand, raise your back hand, and glide straight. And go. And pull back, drop your front hand, and glide. Okay. And barrow. Okay, so that's the line work we expect to see at blue belt level. So again, kicking wise now, you've got to move on to a spinning hook kick. I personally actually found spinning hook kick easier than the reverse turning kick that you did when you were a blue stripe. But we want to see your performing the reverse turning kick better than what you did as a blue stripe, and we need to show you an understanding of a spinning hook kick now. Okay, so a spinning hook kick is performed in pretty much the same way as a spinning side kick that you learn as a green belt. Okay, so from the guard, you lift your knee up bent to the chamber position, which is the same chamber position for the spinning side kick, and then you just perform a normal hook kick, so hook to the corner and back to the center. Okay, so a spinning hook kick is exactly the same as a hook kick, it's just you do it backwards rather than forwards. So a forwards hook kick would be to the same chamber and then kick, and then a spinning hook kick is exactly the same. Get to the same chamber and then perform the same hook kick. So it's done backwards, okay? So you lift your knee up backwards to chamber, lock out to the corner, and then hook back to the middle, all right? So from your guard, you lift your knee up, chamber, kick out to the corner. Don't forget to kick out to the corner and lock out, and then you can hook back, okay? So from here, knee up to the corner, lock out, and then hook back. So watching again, and by the way, everything's the same, heel and toe, heel toe, knee up behind, lock out to the corner and hook back to the center. So we'll try and do that a little bit faster. Yeah, and you're listening for that flick, okay? So I'm kind of wanting to flick. Alright, so coming forward to the camera, you lift your knee up to the corner, lock out, hook through, and guard. Lift your knee up to the corner, lock out, hook through, and guard. Lift your knee up to the corner, lock out, and hook through. Okay, so I'll show you that again. So it's a lot easier to perform than a reverse turning kick. So from your guard, lift your knee up, kick out to the corner, hook through, and guard. Lift your knee up, kick out to the corner, hook through, and guard. Lift your knee up, kick out to the corner, hook through, and guard. Okay, so I'll do that 3 more times. So from your guard position, lift your knee up, lock out, hook through. From the corner, lock through. And then when you get the hang of it, just gradually build the speed up until you can do it fast and you get the whip of your suit as your leg comes through. Okay, so that concludes the blue belt line work.